Well, hi there, everybody. Good morning to meteorologist Travis Klineski here on this Monday morning, a brand new work week, and it looks like it's going to be a fairly quiet week of weather. We are going to see some increasing clouds today. Skies becoming partly to mostly cloudy for much of the area. There will be some breaks in the clouds here and there, and very light winds. High pressure is going to start here this morning, and it's going to scoot east across the area. It should be somewhere in here later this afternoon. You see that very slow clockwise rotation. That's very light winds. They get slightly breezy, maybe up around 10 miles per hour out here to the west later on today. The weather remains fairly quiet overnight tonight with clear to partly cloudy skies. There's going to be some decreasing clouds. The biggest question to tomorrow is this right here. Most forecast models don't have this, but my Futurecast product does. So these low clouds here, if they build in, this is something that could keep things cooler than expected. I'm not counting on them, but if they do happen, maybe even some drizzle. This model's even showing drizzle. If it does happen, expect cooler conditions than what I'm forecasting. My current forecast, though, calls for partly to mostly sunny skies. Better chance of sunshine out west. Tomorrow night, then, a cold front, which will be up here in northwest Nebraska, is going to sneak southeast across the area tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, and that's going to bring in some cooler weather for the rest of the week. It's also going to bring some breezy winds out of the north on Wednesday. So highs today topping out in the mid to upper 60s and lower 70s, well above average. Our average high this time of the year is in the mid 50s, so another very mild day out there for today. Tonight, down into the mid to upper 30s and lower 40s. That's not too bad for this time of the year as well. Our typical lows this time of the year are in the upper 20s and lower 30s. Highs tomorrow, back up into the mid to upper 60s and low to mid 70s. Like I said before, the biggest question is right in here. Low clouds, if they were to happen, would keep things cooler than this. I'm not counting on them right now, though, so my current forecast is going to call for mid to upper 60s. But if there are more clouds, maybe it's upper 50s and lower 60s, something like that. So keep that in mind. Just don't want you to be disappointed in case there are some clouds around. Back down into the upper 30s, low to mid, even upper 40s for lows tomorrow night and a Wednesday morning. Wednesday, cooler weather with some brisk northerly winds. Highs in the mid to upper 50s and low to mid 60s. As that cold front comes through pretty early in the day. It's going to dive southeast across the area. It's going to come through the Tri-Cities probably just before sunrise on Wednesday. So it will be cooler and quite breezy. Winds out of the north, 10 to 20 with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That's kind of like what yesterday's winds were, just out of a different direction. But it is going to draw in that cooler air Wednesday. It will be cooler for the end of the week as well. Highs in the 50s for the most part and lows down near or below freezing. Now, if you're like me, where this is the time of the year where it's back and forth between draining the sprinkler system or turning them back on and letting them go when the weather's a little bit warmer. Well, I've been running my sprinkler system for the last several days. You know, it's still good to keep the yards watered even in the fall when you get some milder days. Well, I'll probably have to drain my sprinkler system later on this week here when it starts to get a little bit colder again, especially with that cold night Friday night to Saturday morning. So that's something to keep in mind for those of you that do something like that. Of course, the growing season has ended, so if you're still trying to protect your plants at this point, it's probably not going to happen if they're still somehow alive and they stayed outside. But again, cooler weather. Veterans Day, not a bad day. Veterans Day, partly cloudy skies. I think the Husker game, the weather should be just fine. Sunday, we start to warm up. That's kind of the beginning of our next rebound in temperatures as we get back to the lower 60s for the middle of November. And by that point, our average high is going to be down into the lower 50s, so that's going to be about 10 or so degrees above average for this time of the year. Let's take a look at some. There's not much to show you long range on the forecast models. There's just not much moisture to talk about here. There's the front right there. That's Wednesday morning right there. No, other than maybe some sprinkles. There's just not much, and you just see it's most of the storm systems upcoming are going to miss us here for at least the next week. That's about as close as it gets is next Sunday there. So that's the European, not showing much. The GFS, here's the cold front early Wednesday morning, maybe some sprinkles behind it, but that's about it. So now this forecast model is a little bit different, but it's been kind of the outlier right now, which means basically it's kind of by itself, showing moisture Saturday night. So I'm not including the moisture in the forecast for now, but we'll keep an eye on it in case that does need to be added to the forecast. But otherwise, the weather looks to stay fairly quiet into the middle of next week here. Temperature trends, mild weather today and tomorrow. Here comes the cool down at the end of the week. It's not super cold. It's cooler, but it's not super cold. And then starting on Sunday right there, that's when we start to warm up. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, maybe another shot of cooler air for the second half of next week. We'll see. That's a long ways out yet, but it doesn't look like, it looks like a glancing shot of cool air. It doesn't look like super brutally cold air. And if you look close, that usually what happens when you get that glance of cooler air, this eventually builds in behind it. This could mean that the third weekend of November could be on the warmer side as we get towards Friday and Saturday of next week. We may start to see that warm air out west start to build back in, so we could see another nice weekend, possibly. And again, that's a long ways out, so I don't want to get too gung-ho over the forecast that far out yet. I mean, we're talking over a week and a half away yet, so. All right, well, with that, that's about all I have for you for today. So I do want to thank you all for watching on this Monday morning. I hope you do have a wonderful week ahead. I will be with you all week long. The only time I'm taking off this week is Friday for our midday show with the Veterans Day program going on at my kids' local school. I'm going to be going up to that so I'll be gone for the midday show. But otherwise, I'll be here all week long for the very quiet week of weather. So I'll see you again on Tuesday. Take care and God bless. Bye.